Hello, you movers, you shakers, you visionary makers. My name is Sky Sheridan, and welcome to another episode of Under One Sky, where we see solutions, hear humanity, and feel the future, having life discussions that build better communities. So today I'm very excited to have one of our special guests on. Her name is Sinem Tuncer, and she is a circularity master. She's working here in the Netherlands to improve the value chain of the beauty industry. She's a pioneer in the beauty industry, and she's also a very smart cookie, really into technology and science. So we're looking forward to talking with her today about all of the circularity options we have for closing the loop and keeping sustainability in our communities when it comes to the fashion and beauty world, and also just to hear how she got over her struggles and became who she is today. So let's get right to it. Sinem, how are you? Welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you today.
Super excited to be here as well, Sky. Thank you for inviting me.
It's going to be great. It's all about authenticity here for our community. It's very raw. We're also all learning. So that's kind of the point of the community here, is that we're all going on this journey together. And Rachel's here today. She's my co-host. So we'll be seeing a lot more of her in the upcoming episodes. And Sina, we'll just jump right in to the 5 questions we have on Discord. So Discord is our community where we meet offline and we discuss a lot of these topics. So these are the 5 questions from Discord that our community asks every guest. The first one is, what was your favorite toy as a child?
When I was young, I wanted to be an astronaut or something or stuff like that. So I loved getting like these books around planets, which I completely didn't understand in those times. But I had a whole collection and I was always looking at, Venus and Mars and Pluto and all those
Amazing.
types of planets.
I'm curious what your favorite planet was as a child.
I think it was like, it's really hard to tell. Obviously, it's a super long time ago. My mind goes directly to Mars or Pluto. I got a little bit older and they found a little bit of water there. So, and we know the oceans are so deep and that we don't know what is exactly in there. So, this is what really triggered me, the mysterious part of that.
That's
Super
awesome.
cool. Rachel and I had
Yeah.
an episode, was it episode 2? We were talking all about aliens and life on different planets. So you're talking to the right people right now.
Totally.
All right.
No, in my house, Pluto's still a planet. So
Okay.
even though they changed the rules, Pluto's still a planet in my house. So my kids know that too.
But speaking of planets, what is your star sign?
I am a Scorpio. Very curious
Ooh.
what you guys are actually. Don't know exactly what that means, but never really curious about it. But I know that things that are said about Scorpios is that we are, for example, jealous.
Well, that's great. You already know a little bit about your star sign, though, and that's really awesome.
Yes.
I always say that the star signs, like the stars in general, they incline, they don't compel. So I think there's influences, of course, from the moon and from all the planets on us. But yeah, it's also just kind of a fun thing to start a conversation about and get to know people. I'm a Sagittarius, so I come right after you. You're in November. And Rachel?
I'm a Taurus. So
Okay.
bring everyone back down to earth.
Her
You're
birthday's coming.
stubborn, Rachel. You're
Yes.
stubborn.
She's a horny devil.
Still not a sexual podcast.
Still not a sexual podcast. Exactly.
And curiously enough, with you having been so invested in planetary books as a child, but not so interested in your star sign, it's actually really funny to me because the major kind of personality traits of a Scorpio, at least the Scorpio sun, it's like being bold and passionate. Like it comes through even when you write stuff. So it's actually, it's always funny to me when things like that line up together, where you don't even know it's not something you study, but just in the way you present yourself and the way you come forward, it matches very well.
It sure does.
So you are right.
Yeah, I think is the kind of cool thing about knowing about your sign is you can say like a Scorpio that can be secretive. That's one thing I know about Scorpios is they can keep a lot to themselves and not
True.
tell people. The coolest thing about Scorpios, just to add on top of that, is that you guys really are the keepers of mysteries and secrets. And every Scorpio I know knows how to really get to the deep the deepest parts of people, right? That's your intensity that you're talking about with a relationship or whatever, because you really want the truth and deepness and authenticity. So you're perfect for the show as a Scorpio, because you know you're going to bring it. The listeners are going to love you. Next question: what is your superpower?
I think if I found something that I'm really passionate about, I just cannot let it go in a good way. So I want to research everything about it. I want to know everything about it until I really, really know everything about it. And then I really start talking about it and trying to solve the root cause of the issue, so to say.
So you want to be an expert, basically. Your superpower is that you're an expert when you get into
Yeah,
something.
I think
Yeah.
so. I know we had these issues in my old career, like with Google Maps. So I was into location data, and it took me 2 years to convince Google that I was right.
Mm.
And it got me a job in the end. Like they offered me a job for it as well, but they changed their whole API and their algorithm just because I was right. But it took me 2 years because I could not find exactly what that was in the code. But at a certain moment, I kind of like found it.
Man, dedication is like the backbone of any entrepreneur. And I mean, you have that from just knowing you personally. I definitely can see that your dedication is 100% there. So, last question: what is your hobby or creative outlet?
My mother always told me when I was young, like, your problem is that you don't have a hobby. And I really didn't have one for a long time. I was kind of like playing tennis a little bit and then letting it go, doing something a little bit, letting it go, until I found this whole thing about, uh, let's start with geospatial data initially. So that's that Google thing that I was talking about.
Mhm.
I got really addicted to careers and work. And at a certain moment, I also wanted to do something really, really meaningful. And I think at the moment, Arkive is really my hobby. And yeah, I don't know, it's just my number one priority.
So I'm really curious. This is actually something that's been coming up a lot in my personal life. So I work in corporate America in my case, because I'm in California. Um, but I'm curious because the topic's been coming up a lot, especially as I attend women's leadership meetings and things like that, about living a whole life. Because I think a lot of us, especially as we start to climb in our careers, as we break through the glass ceiling and all these things, right? A lot of us end up finding ourselves addicted to or just completely just embedded in our work every single day, right? And so as a result of that, our personal life, who we are as people, disappears. And for me, I sometimes have that luxury. I don't, because I have 3 kids. But how do you feel like that's kind of affected you as you've been so dedicated and passionate to Arkive? How's that changed your personal life?
Oh, very good question, I think, Rachel. I mean, almost makes me emotional as well. Actually,
You're in
I
the right
think,
podcast for that.
yeah, very good question. I think actually, I messed up my whole social life, if I have to be fair for this. Before Archive, I was kind of like super bubbly, going out a lot. You know, I had a job, I got my salary every month, etc. So I really had fun after work and in the weekends. And when Archive started, I got so addicted extra to work that my social life was actually disappearing. So I started kind of like not really losing friends, but kind of like losing contact with them, because I was just not going anymore. And if I was visiting their house, I was not a fun person. My mind was only thinking about Archive and being stressed the whole time, that it was not even fun to be around me, sort to say. So my friends were like, are you even listening to what I'm saying the whole time? And I was like, if I have to be fair, like, no. So I would say that my friend group, for example, my social, it just became very small, and I became this person that only wanted to sit at home and think of work. But slowly, I'm also kind of like trying to change that as well, because you need to be in your basics really happy to make Archive, for example, successful as well. And if you stop being social and stop being happy, it kind of like impacts your productivity, your motivation, and everything around it as well.
and
So,
Totally.
we need you
yeah.
strong, Sina. We need you strong to be, because you're a sustainable leader, and we can't have you, depleted. We need you to like do creative things and things that bring you joy, like drawing, dancing, writing. I know you love to dance, so that's an example of a hobby, right? Like get it out in some kind of creative form that's not work. And I think I love you, Rachel, for bringing that question up. So thank you. So this podcast